Hello everyone, I'm back with a brand new video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the WWE Legend Series 27 Great Muta. Now, for the most of this video, majority of this video, I'm going to be referring by Muta's real name, KG Muto. Long story short, and there's so much historically to unpack about KG Muto, without question, one of the all-time great wrestlers ever. One of the all-time great wrestlers, just not in Japanese wrestling history, but wrestling history, period. If you were to do a top 20, a top 50, the top 100 list of the best wrestlers of all time, and this is an objectionable, this would be an objectionable, honest list of wrestlers, America, Japan, Mexico, UK, whatnot. He would almost always, he would have to be in the list, any top 100 list, or even really a top 75 list without Keiji Muto is highly questionable. And he has more so, now if you're a fan of WWE, and if you do not have any, Japanese, experience or history of Japanese wrestling, or even if you didn't watch WCW back in the 90s, more so early 90s, even late 80s, you may not understand the importance of this man. But Keiji Muto was one of the first Japanese wrestlers to really gain an international fan base for his work in WCW during the late 80s. Back in, I think it was 88, 89, he came to WCW. He was, of course, he was a star, and he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and sent to WCW to gain some seasoning, to America, and he got over tremendously and had a very legendary feud with Sting. He feuded with Ric Flair, and was really for a lot of American fans at that time. He was their first introduction to like I would say there probably, I would say, real Japanese wrestling. He was, he was their first he may have been. There's always been, of course, Japanese wrestlers wrestling in, America throughout the years, but Muto was completely different than anyone that WCW had on their roster, back in 1989. And he was a major part of the company that year, one of their top stars, along with, Sting, Flair, Terry Funk, Ricky Steamboat. So again, and just his influence in Japan. I mean, in Japan, and again, this is not we can't do a Muto history video, but he is I think one of only 5 Japanese wrestlers to win the 3 major Japanese wrestling championships: IWGP Championship from New Japan, the Triple Crown All Japan, and the GHC Heavyweight title for Pro Wrestling Noah. And classic matches, incredible career. And he was actually just in the he was actually at Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement. He was part of the ceremony at the end of his, match a couple of weeks ago. So one of the all-time, I mean, when you think of New Japan Pro Wrestling, he is one of the, without question, he's in the top 5 in that company's history, and maybe top 3. You would have to say Inoki first. I really think, I don't know, Ricky Chosu, you can't forget about him. But, once you round it out, it has to be Muto and Tanahashi have to be the other 4 in that category. I mean, in that top 5. So, all-time great wrestler. And we're going to get into the figure. So, I don't want this video to get too long. But Legend Series figure. Now, Muto, who, to the best of my knowledge, he never wrestled. I do not think so. He never wrestled in WWE. But he signed a Legends deal, and he was put into the Hall of Fame, I think back in 2024, if I'm correct. I think it was 2023. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. So, of course, being that he had signed a Legends deal, we have been seeing a lot of really cool figures that I never thought we would see. So who would have thought in 2025 that there would be, Keiji Muto, great Muto figures? And another thing about him is that if you watch WCW back in the 90s, and the great thing, and this is what I loved about WCW so much, is that they had a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So through various times, more so throughout the early 90s, but also kind of in the late to mid 90s, you would see Muto and Jushin Liger and Masa Chono and all of these great, Kensuke Sasaki. see all these great Japanese wrestlers, more so from, really from New Japan, on WCW pay-per-views and telecast broadcast, and it was just such a smorgasbord of wrestling styles. Whereas, in the 90s in WWE, and you just had, your WWE American stars. You didn't see, guys from All Japan, or, they did have somewhat of a partnership, I think, with AAA that was very short-lived, I think, but the WCW just had such an international reach, and that's just one thing I love when I go back and watch a lot of these early 90s Clash of the Champions and WCW shows, WCW Saturday Night, these pay-per-views, and you see, like, man, Jushin Liger is here, and, the great Muta and Masachono, and there were other guys, too, far more than them, so just a little sidebar about that. But we're going to get into the figure, as usual, front of the box. Back of the box, see a brief, description. Now, of course, this description does not do him justice, because it just mentions world champion and WCW Tag Team Champion. Technically, that's true, because he did win, and it was, the championship history of, like, the WCW belt and the NWA belt was very complex in the early to mid 90s, but Muta, I won't say Muto was actually recognized as a NWA world champion. And I think that was before the belt. They kind of ended the affiliation with the NWA, and it was a lot of stuff back then with the belts and stuff. But he is a multiple-time, I think 4-time IWGP champion, one of the longest reigning IWGP champions in company history. He's won the G1 Climax tournament, headlined multiple, Tokyo Dome shows. Again, just one of the all-time biggest legends. So I just want to give you at least more championships that he's won, because if you just look at the back of this box, and if you do not know anything about him, you would just think these are only belts he's won. But he's won an incredible number of championships. Again, one of the few wrestlers to win all 3 major Japanese wrestling championships, in addition to multiple other belts, so, and honors and awards, and Wrestler of the Year, Tokyo Sports MVP, things of that nature. So let's get into this figure. Now, this look is his mid-career look. Actually, late, I would say second part of his career look, latter part. So Muto, and the thing about Muta is that he had two gimmicks. He wrestled under Keiji Muto, which was him without face paint, regular orange trunks, and then he wrestled as the Great Muta on a lot of special occasions. Now, this is the figure. Now, this figure is from Muto post 2001. I believe it was 2001. In 2001, he shaved his hair, adopted this look, and really changed his entire ring style. Muto before in the 90s was one of the most aerial, high flying. He was a heavyweight, but still did a lot of aerial maneuvers and things. But he shifted his style and became more of a mat technician, and added the Shining Wizard, made that his finishing move. So also Muta's influence. Whenever you see someone do the Shining Wizard, whenever you see someone do the back spring, I think the back spring handstand, the elbow into the corner. Tiffany Stratton used to do that a lot. I don't know if I got the name up right, but kind of like when you do the flip, a couple of flips, and then you do the back, the elbow into the corner. And those are, and the, what's the other thing? The dragon screw, which is a move that Stephanie Vaquer uses, if I'm correct, and other wrestlers too, but I'm just getting some major wrestlers who use the moves. If you see any of those moves, Shining Wizard, dragon screw, that back handspring elbow, those are all Muta was the one that made those moves famous. So let's get into the figure. And now let's see. This has gone a little longer than I anticipated, but I definitely, me, I like some good old history, so I gotta get some wrestling history in there. Nice. And also, when you see Asuka, any wrestler, Oscar with the mist, any wrestler that used the green mist, more than likely they were inspired by Muta, because that was, of course, a trademark of the Great Muta gimmick with the green mist, which was actually inspired by Muta. Was inspired. A lot of the Muta gimmick was inspired from the great Kabuki, who was a wrestler, who was really popular more so in the, I think, 70s and 80s. But Muta just took it to a whole new level, to the point where I believe he is more associated universally with the green mist, trope. So. Okay. And some of these are still on the hand, but that's going to be okay. I will take care of that later. I'm a perfectionist, so I don't like. Still not perfect. We'll fix that later. Oh, we got it. So here you go. Very nice figure. I love the robe. The short robe. You got the little fur trim, of course, kind of cloth trim around it. Well, it's all cloth, but really nice robe. Very elaborate. And then, you have Bye Bye. I believe this was from his retirement, because he actually retired officially in 2020. He retired in 2023, if I'm correct. Or was it 24? But anyway, he retired not that long ago. And this must have been the robe, kind of similar to what he wore with Bye Bye on. It's the only thing I can make sense of with that. Very good figure. You see the Japanese, the kanji symbols. I guess kanji symbols on the, the flames at the end of the boots. The robe. And then just, the head scan. With the mask and the black lips and the, the goatee and the mustache and the beard. And very nice figure. And then the icing on the cake is, of course, you got interchangeable hands, but then you have the head max, which now this, yes, that just takes it to a whole nother level right there. Muto had one of the most unique, best looks of any wrestler. Just his persona, how he looked, how he carried himself, the attire. Truly a superstar. And I also want to show you how terrifying he looked. Now, this is Muto, how he looked over the last, I would say 20 years of his career, really since 2001. So, I guess the last 25 years roughly, or something like that. Because 20 years, we'll just say 20 years. But this is how he looked at his peak in the 90s as the Great Muta. This dude was absolutely terrifying. And when you go back and watch, clips of Muto, and the Great Muta gimmick from back then, he really looked scary, because he just was so into the gimmick. He did the mist, and just a really... matter of fact, let's look at some. This is a Weekly Pro Wrestling magazine I got recently. And just look at, some more pictures of him, from his 90s heyday. So, yeah. So, that is it. And again, this video went a little long, because I definitely had to get a little history in there. And then this is, that's another good shot of him right there, too. Look at that picture. Just looking like a madman, with the green tongue and stuff. So, yeah. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I knew I was gonna go a little deep with this. I think this may be the longest one I've done in a couple of years. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you're taking care of yourself. Hopefully, we're bracing for some really possibly bad winter weather here in North Carolina. So we're going to see what happens. Hopefully we still have power over the next couple of days and it's not too extreme. But again, just thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you. I appreciate all the likes, comments. I read all of them. I try my best to respond in a timely manner. Again, just take care of yourselves. Be safe. And I will talk to you again after a while. Peace.